Chapter 16. Now Sarai, Abram's wife, bore him no children, and she had a handmaid, an Egyptian, whose name was Hagar. And Sarai said unto Abram, Behold now, the Lord hath restrained me from bearing. Go in, I pray you, unto my handmaid. It may be that I shall be builded up through her. And Abram hearkened to the voice of Sarai. Sarai, Abram's wife, took Hagar, the Egyptian, her handmaid, after Abram had dwelt 10 years in the land of Canaan, and gave her to Abram her husband to be his wife. And he went in unto Hagar, and she conceived, and when she saw that she had conceived, her mistress was despised in her eyes. And Sarai said unto Abram, My wrong be upon you. I gave my handmaid into your bosom, and when she saw that she had conceived, I was despised in her eyes. The Lord judge between me and you. But Abram said unto Sarai, Behold, your maid is in your hand. Do to her that which is good in your eyes. And Sarai dealt harshly with her, and she fled from her face. And the angel of the Lord found her by a fountain of water in the wilderness, by the fountain in the way to Shur. And he said, Hagar, Sarai's handmaid, whence camest you, and whither goest you? And she said, I flee from the face of my mistress Sarai. And the angel of the Lord said unto her, Return to your mistress, and submit yourself under her hands. And the angel of the Lord said unto her, I will greatly multiply your seed, that it shall not be numbered for multitude. And the angel of the Lord said unto her, Behold, you art with child, and shalt bear a son, and you shall call his name Ishmael, because the Lord hath heard your affliction. And he shall be a wild ass of a man. His hand shall be against every man, and every man's hand against him. And he shall dwell in the face of all his brethren. And she called the name of the Lord that spoke unto her, You art a God of seeing. For she said, Have I even here seen him that sees me? Wherefore the well was called Ber Lahahi Roi. Behold, it is between Kadesh and Bered. And Hagar bore Abram a son, and Abram called the name of his son, whom Hagar bore, Ishmael. And Abram was 86 years old, when Hagar bore Ishmael to Abram. All right, let's go back up to verse 1. Now, in the last chapter, we had this promise of Abram would inherit the land, and Abram would inherit these many generations to come, and that God was going to cause them to serve under a ruler, under somebody else, and then God was going to bring them out of that with very great reward, great substance. And we will find that this has been viewed as that which, the prophecies of even that which was to come from Egypt, but we'll find out that that prophecy was to repeat itself over and over, or I shouldn't say prophecy. These courses of actions would repeat themselves multiple times in history. That's where this understanding of parallels comes from, and these parallels, like I have said before, being the understanding coming in. We're going to pick it up here in verse 1. Now Sarai, Abram's wife, bore him no children, and she had a handmaid, an Egyptian, whose name was Hagar. So Sarai, we remember, that's the princess, Abram's wife, the exalted father, Abram, his wife, or the reflection of his understanding. She had no children. There was no one had come forth from her. And she had a handmaid. A handmaid is simply a feminine worker. A handmaid is it's going to be the work. A maid is the feminine, or one who would do feminine work, as it insinuates. An Egyptian. Egyptian is the one who comes from Egypt, one who comes from that land of snares and pits, whose name was Hagar. Hagar means to fly, to have flight, or to fly. as we're going to see, that's kind of what she does, runs off too. And Sarai said unto Abram, Behold now, the Lord hath restrained me from bearing. Go in, I pray you, unto my handmaid. It may be that I shall be builded up through her. And Abram hearkened to the voice of Sarai. So Sarai says to Abram now, the Lord hath restrained me, and the Mighty One has kept me from bearing. He has restrained me from having child. Go now, and here's where she is going to give Hagar, her handmaid, over to Abram to be his wife. 3. Sarai, Abram's wife, took Hagar the Egyptian, her handmaid, after Abram had dwelt 10 years in the land of Canaan, and gave her to Abram, her husband, to be his wife. So Sarai, that's the princess, Abram's wife, the exalted father's wife, the reflection of his understanding, took Hagar. Hagar, this one who flies, or this one who of flight, the Egyptian, one from the land of snares, traps, crypts, graves, whatever you want to call her handmaid, or this one who would do some of her pleasant work. After Abram had dwelt 10 years in the land of Canaan, land of Canaan was that land of humbleness, that land of humility. Abram had dwelt there for 10 years. 10 years, 10's always the law. It always will be. Law is the full understanding. Even years is the greater understanding. It's a course of days. 4. And he went in unto Hagar, and she conceived. And when she saw that she had conceived, her mistress was despised in her eyes. So he went in unto Hagar. He consummated the marriage, so to speak, with Hagar, this one of flight, and she conceived that she would be with child. And when she saw that she had conceived, her mistress was despised. She took a little slightly different attitude with the princess, we'll find out. 5. And Sarai said unto Abram, My wrong be upon you. I gave my handmaid into your bosom, and when she saw that she had conceived, I was despised in her eyes. The Lord judge between me and you. Sarai said to Abram, so now the princess is going to say to the father that's exalted, my wrong be upon you. What I've done was wrong, and now it's up to you to decide, because I gave my handmaid into your bosom, or I give my handmaid over to you, and when she saw that she had conceived, and she saw that she was with child, she despised Sarai, we'll find now. And Sarai basically says, now the Lord judge between me and you. And she has put the decision over unto Abram. 6. But Abram said unto Sarai, Behold, your handmaid is in your hand. Do to her that which is good in your eyes. And Sarai dealt harshly with her, and she fled from her face. But Abram said to Sarai, Behold, your handmaid is in your hand, and she is in your works. Whatever you do with her that which is good in your eyes. And Sarai, will find out, the princess, deals harshly with her, and probably scolds her in some way, or punishes. And she fled from her face, or she fled from these things. Probably that Sarai was trying to make plain. 7. And the angel of the Lord found her by a fountain of water in the wilderness, by a fountain in the way to Shur. So now an angel of the Lord, an angel is just a deputy of the Lord, that presence of the Lord himself. An angel is going to be one who is dispatched to speak with, a lot of times in times of trouble, great trouble. Found her by a fountain of water that was in the wilderness, and there she was. This fountain is a place to drink from, a place to get water from, and water's always understanding. And it's going to be in the wilderness. Wilderness is that place where the words drive out, and it's by the fountain in the way to Shur, and that by that place of understanding on the way to Shur. Shur is that place of the wall. 8. And he said, Hagar, Sarai's handmaid, whence camest you, and whither goest you? And she said, I flee from the face of my mistress Sarai. So now the deputy, or the angel, said to Hagar, this one who is of flight, this one who has run off, Sarai's handmaid, the princess's pleasant worker, where came you, and where go you? And she said, I flee from the face of my mistress. I've run off from these things that my mistress Sarai, this mistress Sarai here, mistress is someone who has rule over you, has charge over you, the princess, and these things that she's trying to make plain. 9. And the angel of the Lord said unto her, return to your mistress and submit yourself under her hands. So now the deputy of the angel, probably not what Hagar was expecting of the Lord, says to her, return to your mistress, return to this one who has this rule over you, and submit yourself under her hand, under her works. 10. And the angel of the Lord said unto her, I will greatly multiply your seed, that it shall not be numbered for multitude. And the deputy, once again, this one is dispatched of the Lord, that presence of the name itself, says unto her, I will greatly multiply your seed, I will increase those that come from you, that it shall not be numbered for the multitude. Without number, we'll find this is a very similar thing that was told to Abram. 11. And the angel of the Lord said unto her, behold, you art with child, and shall bear a son, and you shall call his name Ishmael, because the Lord hath heard your affliction. And the angel of the Lord said, behold, or look, you art with the child, you have a child in you, and shalt bear a son, and it's going to be a son of the masculine sense, one that will go forth with seed, bearing the Shem. And you shall call his name, or his Shem shall be called Ishmael. It's the Shemael. Shemael means heard of the mighty one, because the Lord hath heard your affliction. Because the presence of the Lord, the name of the Lord, Hashem has heard your affliction. He has heard your cries. 12. And he shall be a wild ass of man. His hand shall be against every man, and every man's hand against him. And he shall dwell in the face of all his brethren. And he shall be a wild ass of a man. A wild ass. An ass is always something that has a little representation of a ruler, one who would have that kind of wealth to have something else to carry his burdens. But this wild ass is one that is like no order. There's no understanding about this one who runs and rules and snorts up the wind. This wild, having no natural order. His hand shall be against every man. His works is going to be against every man. And we're going to find out this is like a controversy or a contrary or a contention or a contender. And every man's hand will be against him. And every man's work is going to be against him. There's going to be a contention in the earth. And he shall dwell in the face of all his brethren. And he shall dwell in the face, right in front of, being made plain before his brethren. That's those of the same understanding. All were raised in Abram's house. 13. And she called the name of the Lord that spoke unto her. You are the God of seeing. For she said, have I even here seen him that sees me? And she called the name of the Lord, or that presence of the holy name that was speaking to her. You are the God of seeing. You are a mighty one of sight. You have this great abilities of sight. Here, this sight is even this sight of tomorrow, the sight of for many days. And she said, I have here seen him that sees me. And to see here is to perceive. To perceive the one this one that has seen her or has heard her affliction, and this one has even come and comforted her with these words. 14, wherefore the well was called Bir Lachai Roi. Behold, it's between Kadesh and Bered. And this well was called, the well of life, or this well of life. Behold, it is between Kadesh and Bered. Between Kadesh is the sanctuary, that sanctified place, that place set aside. And Bered, hell as in that which comes down frozen from the sky. It's somewhere between there. 15, and Hagar bore Abram a son, and Abram called the name of his son, whom Hagar bore, Ishmael. And Hagar bore Abram a son. So this one of flight, she bears unto the exalted Father a son, one that's going to go forth and carry the Shem. And Abram called the name of his son, that's the one who was going to go forth to bear the Shem, whom Hagar bore, the one whom was born of flight, Ishmael. And that's this one that's heard of the Mighty One, or the Mighty One heard, Shamael, heard of the Mighty One. 16, and Abram was 86 years old when Hagar bore Ishmael to Abram. And Abram was 86 years old. Fourscore, a score is 20, but here it's going to be more like 8 tens. It's new beginning in the law. And 6, because there's going to be a work of man and the greater understandings. When, that's 86, when Hagar bore Ishmael, and that one of flight would give birth to the one who hear God, and she would give birth to him to Abram, the exalted Father. And we'll be moving on to Genesis 17. Turn and return.